I think the jump is easy. I think the tunnel is easy. And you don't even have to, I mean, if you just have jumps, you could just do jump. They can be in a straight line if you want. You can put them at different angles. It's not even just about getting the dog to go over it. If you really have a dog that's super advanced, sending them from a distance and, not running with them. So there's a lot of other things that you can do if you don't have all the bells and whistles. If you do have the bells and whistles, I think the jumps are great. I think the tunnel's great. And I think the weave poles are pretty underrated.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dog Sense. I am Kathy and I'm here with my co-host Sarah.
Hey guys.
And another co-host, Lauren. Lauren's here again.
Yay! Woohoo!
All right, so as you all know, Sarah, my co-host, is in Colorado and she runs the Colorado version of our school. And Lauren is the head trainer at my New Jersey school. And Lauren is here for this topic because during COVID, she did a lot of Zoom agility classes with our pet obedience people. So that'd be great to get her here, pick her brain, see what things she was working on, and let her tell you how you can get started in agility for fun.
Yeah, it was awesome, actually. You think about, when we first said we wanted to do it, we're like, we should do agility virtually. And we're like, people are like, I don't think you could do that. Like, how could you do that? And I'm like, well, we just got creative and kind of went from there. And it was awesome. And everybody loved it. And we had full classes weekly. And I think it was a really great way for people to bond with their dogs. So it was awesome.
And I think the important point is they said we couldn't do it.
That was a big part of it.
We're like,
if you say that,
we're going to do it.
Yep.
We're doing it.
And the engagement from the students for that as well. We got so many videos of like these awesome setups at home of people getting creative with making different jumps and tunnels. Like people absolutely loved doing this stuff at home and they got the kids involved too.
Yeah. They were searching on the internet how to make jumps and planks and dog walks. And it was just amazing. They did not start out as agility people and they did not start out with equipment.
No.
But by the time you were done, they had these like full cute little courses made out of stuff around the house.
I did have a lot of people with like handy husbands or handy people that would like make A-frames and it was impressive. So I was really happy. But yeah, you don't have to get fancy with it. You can just do some stuff that you have lying around the house. So
all right. So what do you think the easiest like gateway agility piece of equipment people can do to get started? Probably
the jumps. I think the jumps would be the easiest thing to kind of incorporate because I think it's easy for you and your dog to kind of get engaged with it. I did 2 chairs and a broom, right? Or, you can put a piece of tape against the doorway or kind of just anything. But I think the jumps were probably the easiest thing that you could probably do at home.
Right. And your dog is jumping anyway, right?
Right.
So I think people, give them an outlet.
The biggest thing too is that, a lot of people are like, well, I don't really want my dog to jump and I don't want them to kind of do these things. But it's really all about like control, right? Like, yeah, your dog is able to get really cranked up and get really excited and get really crazy, but they're still able to do what you're asking them to do. I had somebody who was like, well, I don't want to use my chair because then the dog is going to think that they can jump on the chair. I'm like, well, you're not having the dog jump on the chair. So that's not going to happen. And 2, you're inviting the dog to do it. So the dog isn't just going to jump on the counter because you have them jump over a broomstick. Like it doesn't work that way.
And it's funny because do you think your dog is going to randomly start heeling with you?
Right.
Or randomly start doing drop-on recalls? Like that doesn't happen. So no. But I want to back up. You talked about this before we started. The tape on the doorway. Explain that because I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. So I like that too because you can kind of do the heights and we'll kind of get into, how old your dog is and, what to start with what age. But I had some people get just masking tape and just in a doorway, just put tape from one side to the other. And the dog was able to literally go back and forth over the jump with the piece of tape. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. People were pretty creative.
And if they put maybe even a towel, the dog wasn't seeing it. Maybe he's blowing through the tape, lay a towel over it. So it looked like more of a barrier. Yeah. So that would be like a solid jump versus a bar jump.
Yeah.
So smart. I love that idea. I didn't know that until you just told me.
Oh, really?
Really, really clever.
Yeah. I think I have a video of it on my laptop that I used to show my agility people.
You know what? We would love that for this.
Yeah. I'll get it. Yeah. I think it was a TikTok.
We'll post that.
Sorry.
And I want to mention too, that when you're doing jumping with your dog, it's going to be a low height, but you're also going to be on a surface that isn't slick. So I'm sure these people were not doing it on tile or wood floors, nothing that was wet. It was something, maybe they had a yoga mat down.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice, stable surface. Obviously, we're not jumping regulation height, but you still want to be careful.
Yeah. And I have some videos too, like that I did with my dogs for the class that we would kind of just post up on the Zoom video because, you know, if my dog was somewhere else or wherever, I couldn't really demo with her. So I would take videos and kind of show those. So I even have videos of them doing it too. And, you know, if you're doing this, and we talked a little bit about it before, if you're going to do some kind of jump and stuff, it is cool to kind of video your dog while they're doing it, not just so that you can post it on social media and brag about your dog, but also so you can see what you're doing, your body position, what the dog is doing. Maybe you do have your dog on a slick surface and they're slipping when they're going and you're like, that's weird. And you can kind of watch that on one of the videos. I did that. And then Kathy told me and I was like, you're right. So it is important to, you know, or it is kind of a good idea to have a video and kind of look back on it.
All right. So we've got the single jump and that's a really good start. I also like a good plank.
Yes. Yeah. The planks are good too. You know, and you don't even need to some people you can go in your garage and maybe just find, I don't know who has wood lying around, but you know, you can do that, or you can go outside or go, you know, I took my dog hiking and there was a really long plank and I did that, or the curb, or, you know, you can really use anything and get pretty creative. But not only are you teaching your dog how to walk in a straight line, but it's proprioception, right? Because they need to really focus on where they're walking. And you say, oh, my dog can walk in a straight line. Like I take him for a walk all the time. But you don't realize how much you're actually moving on the giant sidewalk, right? And then you have this narrow plank where you use it for the dog walk or the teeter or anything. So you want to make sure your dog can actually walk in a straight line before you get it to start moving. So,
and those planks come in handy in a number of places. They're the teeter, the dog walk.
Yep.
And then a wider version for the A-frame. So the plank work is really important to us. And we like to start them narrow first, because then, you know, when they get to the A-frame, it's super easy because it's really wide. And you can look up this stuff on the internet. I was going to say Google, Chrome, Safari, Firefox. Oh, I know a lot of them.
Amazon.
Right. Amazon. And you can look for cute little inexpensive pieces of agility equipment. And you can even go and get that if you don't want to do like the DIY stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they have like Amazon especially has like cheap little tunnels and jumps and tire jumps and, you know, like little, I mean, if you want to go crazy and get like a little teeter or a little plank, like, you know, it really isn't that expensive to just, I mean, I think it's like 60 or $80 to get like, you know, the weave, I think it's weave pulls, tunnels, jumps, the tire jump, like it's a whole big thing. And that's really pretty inexpensive.
And I would go in with a friend or two on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'd say find somebody with a dog and be like, look, you want it? We'll all go in on this. And then you can use my yard or I'll meet you in the park and we'll set it up. That would be so much fun. And it's relationship building and you're working on training. And I love it because sometimes people are like, you know what? Sitting down are kind of boring. And we're like, yeah, but sit and then you get to jump or go through a tunnel is really exciting. Let's talk about the tunnel next, because I really love the tunnel exercise. It's such an outward bound kind of a moment for a dog, I think.
Yeah, I do like the tunnel. You know, obviously, if you have a tunnel, I always start with it a little bit smaller. I find that it's easier for the dogs to get it if you have this long, giant tube and the dog is looking through that and they're like, no, thank you. Definitely not doing that. Especially if you're by yourself. If you have another person with you, it's kind of easier. But if you're by yourself, you know, putting the dog in a sit weight, going to the other side, throwing a bunch of treats in front of it and just kind of releasing them to go through. That would be great. If you don't have a tunnel, it's totally fine. I did, you know, you could also get like a bunch of chairs and throw a sheet over it, kind of make like a makeshift tunnel. So you can really get creative with it.
But, or a hula hoop.
A hula hoop. Yeah. You can do a hula hoop. You know,
a hula hoop is a great thing
that'd be
to
more
mirror
like
the tire.
Yeah.
Right.
The
But the dog, you had a hula hoop and that, remember the collapse tunnel? They don't do them anymore because too many dogs got injured.
Yeah, that's scary.
Or what was fabric. And with the tunnel, if your dog becomes really adept, you can bend it. So then it looks like an L. And then from the dog's perspective, he looks in it and he's like, it's dark. I don't see an entrance. He has to go left or right to get out. But they love the tunnel. We joke about it and say some dogs love it so much. It's like they turn on the vacuum and they get sucked into it.
Yeah, they do really like it.
But also for you, don't you see it's like a big boost in confidence for the dog as well, because they see this big scary tunnel that and a lot of dogs are nervous about going through it. that's like where you said to shorten it can make it help the dog be successful. But it is such a huge confidence builder when that dog can figure out how to sprint through that tunnel, like figure out the curves in it. They come whipping out of there like on top of the world. They had just had the best time ever. Like they just come sprinting out of there like it was like just the best. I love seeing dogs who figure out the tunnel and they get so excited about it.
And it's such a quick win. Like most of the time, 2 to 3 reps and they have it.
Oh, easy.
And also let's talk about when you're talking about whipping out of the tunnel, I'm thinking about tunnels that move. So make sure your tunnel is secure because you don't want it rolling when they're in it. You maybe like have some chairs or put it between your couch and a wall or something. So you don't have that disaster.
Yeah, exactly. We probably could get into a little bit of like the fitness aspect or how old your dog is, but depending on how big your tunnel is, you do want to make sure how many reps you're doing. So if you have a smaller dog and they just kind of trot right through and everything's great, totally fine. But we have some dogs that are a little bit bigger than the tunnel and they actually have to duck to go through it. So when you think about it, you think like you're repping and repping, repping, and you just think your dog is going through, but realistically they're squatting and then kind of army crawling through this tunnel and then coming out. So think about it's like you doing squats across the floor. Like after a while, it can be a little exhausting. So make sure you're doing, maybe 3 to 5 reps at a time and make sure you're giving them lots of breaks in between.
And we do warm them up. I mean, probably not for low level jumps and things like that, but we do some spins and we do some stretches with them. And we just want to make sure they walk around, right? So there's a little bit of warm up. And then when we're done, there's a cool down, which is really just like walking around a little bit and then sitting down and hanging out with your dog. But, make sure you put that into anything that you're doing with your dog that is athletic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, don't let them just come right out of the crate and go right into it. Right. It's just like when you go to the gym or if you want to do anything, you do a little bit of stretching or a little bit of a warm up, get the heart rate going a little bit, and then move on from there.
And unlike me at the gym, my dogs really do fly out of the crate and want to do things. But to keep them safe, I make sure that they're warmed up and they get out a little bit before we go into the jumping and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe last thing we could touch on is, all right, so Lauren, so if someone was at home, they wanted to do an agility for fun kind of course, what would be maybe like 3 exercises you would put together that they could do at home?
You mean obstacles, like 3 different obstacles that they can put together? So I think the jump is easy. I think the tunnel is easy. And you don't even have to, if you just have jumps, you could just do jumps, right? It's all about, they can be in a straight line if you want. You can put them at different angles. You can do like an L shape. You can do 2 in a row and 1 angled and start doing turns. And, it's not even just about getting the dog to go over it. If you really have a dog that's super advanced, sending them from a distance and, not running with them. So there's a lot of other things that you can do if you don't have all the bells and whistles. If you do have the bells and whistles, I think the jumps are great. I think the tunnel's great. And I think the weave poles are pretty underrated. I think they're very intimidating, right? I think that you see them and you're like, my dog can't do it.
Wait, disclaimer. Lauren and I are on a weave pole kick.
Yeah,
we now have 3 sets going at the school. Yeah. We're going to see how many of our students we can get to weave. It's like, and it's the month of August and you're not here next week.
She has going to get a whole leg up on me. Yeah. But I feel like it is. I feel like it's a super scary thing to some students. And they're like, you know what? I don't really want to do it. But once you start, I feel like it's such a big accomplishment too, when you get it. And it really isn't all that scary. Like you get, you can get, like Kathy was saying, you get a stick with a stake in it and just stick it in the ground. You can do it with chairs. You can do it with cones. I had people doing it with soda bottles, like 2-liter bottles, and just putting them down and having them weave through that. Like there's so many different things that you can do. And it's not all that scary. It really is something that is very accomplishable.
And it's super, super fun. The one piece of equipment we forgot is the table.
Oh, the table.
Which is really place, right?
Yeah.
So now if your dog has a place command, and they should, if they don't get one, you can do jump to place. You can do a couple of tunnel, weave, jump, and then place. So you're working your place. It is an agility obstacle and it's a little break for the dog. You can even put it in the middle. So it's jump, jump, place, pause for a bit, and then do tunnel, jump, and weave.
Yeah. You pause for especially for the really drivey dogs that are just like jump, tunnel, place, this, that. You can tell them to do that and then go to place and hold them there for about 5 to 10 seconds. right? And they're like, I want to go. And you're like, gotta throw some obedience in there,
Impulse
right?
control,
Impulse
right?
control. And then you release them out and go and do it. So yeah, it is. I forgot about the table.
And that's what a start line is. When you put the dog on a sit and then you lead out, you walk away and you go to the first obstacle, and that's working your sit stay too.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of obedience in here. The dog is at a high rate of excitement. You're asking him to do things that translates to you when your friends come over and you tell the dog to sit. Then he can, because he learned through the fun agility that that's something he not only has to do, but likes to do.
So I think that we covered everything for our agility for fun topic. Lauren, as always, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have your kind of expertise on this stuff. All right, guys. So as always, if you like what you hear, jump over to whichever subscription service you download from, like, rate, subscribe, tell a friend. If you have any friends who are interested in agility, but who may not want to go into like a serious class or something, share this episode with them. It's a great starting point if you want to kind of start to figure out if you and your dog like agility. So share this episode around so we can continue to create an awesome community of dog lovers and learners. All right, guys, until next week.
We will see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.